and you may be aware, we've received quite a bit of correspondence and from professional sources, even though we haven't had the chance to do complete due diligence on it. But have they been provided or has been published? Okay, so a lot of this has been made public. But to give an example, Dr. Jackie Lighton, is that a name known to you? From the University of East Anglia. I did read her letter front to back. I haven't got it here, but she raised a number of concerns about the release of the carp virus, and you'd be familiar with that, including the potential for a mutation of the virus, the unpredictability of a complex virus in an uncontrolled environment, and result in the clean-up cost and the potential of the virus to infect other species. Now, it goes on. There are further observations. Any one of those, from our point of view, requires a very serious and thorough consideration. Right now, and if we're confronted with this climate change, there is no climate change. Eminent scientists, both felt we've got a problem, right? And our minds will be exercised about that. But I suppose, and it's not just Dr. Lighton. There have been a number of communications to us from professional scientists who prima facie seem to have, in some cases, long experience post what you're about to do. So they've been in trials that go beyond the release of the carp, it would seem, who are raising any number of significantly serious issues. Now, they believe there's still currency with these concerns. So whoever they've dealt with in your team or extended team,
yes,
have and said to them, hey, look, we're doing a bit more than you know, and we're headed off north, south, east and west, has not satisfied them.
So, Senator, can I make a comment here? So Patrick Cohn, from Managing Director of FRDC, I think the problem here is the question about, do we have a view about what motivates them to make a scientific comment? It's fair to say there are legitimate people in the science community making legitimate comments about the CARP program. And we very much encourage that. In fact, the reason the federal government put in place the National Carp Control Program, invested in this, was to explore through consultation and through science the issues that could be raised in a plan to maybe use the virus. And so there's lots of legitimate comments. There are some people, and this is where it becomes difficult for Matt to say, like this lady from East Anglia, we're not sure what motivates them to say things, because no matter what information we've provided, it doesn't seem to have been reasonable in resolving the comments that have been provided.
Correct. I think we're all agreed on that.
And so it then comes to the view of motivation. And then as scientists, we struggle with that. Obviously,
but Dr. Hone, that's one theory.
Yeah.
The other theory is that these professional scientists who've got experience, extensive experience, if you accept their resume, in the space, simply don't agree with the scientific conclusions or projections that you have developed, right? So that's another explanation. We don't need to go and necessarily hunt around for a motive. They don't like you, their nose is out of joint because they weren't invited or something to that effect. That is another proposition that rests before this committee.
If I could make one point too, Senator, this is not unfamiliar territory. It was exactly the same path trodden as Australia proposed biocontrol of rabbits. Those researchers leading that work undertook international study tours and found some level of resistance from eminent scientists, raising significant concerns, none of which materialised. And it partly comes from the fact that the values that are placed on species differs culturally, and I believe that that's probably...
But can I say to you, I come from a state where we've got prickly acacia and cane toads.
Right.
All right, so for every example you throw up, I'll throw you up a half a dozen others that were eminent scientists involved, were satisfied the impact on it. Lantana was brought in as a feed for animals, devastated millions of hectares of country in my home state. So Dr. Lighton has made a statement that he's not entitled to make and could not back up if challenged.
That's my understanding.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Can I just make one more comment just before you bring on the other witnesses?
Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. And this is mainly around the conduct of the NCCP. So it's been common practice, and they've displayed this, when an international or national scientist speaks out against them, they have personally tried to attack them and drag them through the mud. And there was previous comments from Matt Barwick talking about entitlement to comment on scientific points relating to this, and motives. So they have consistently in the media and on the Senate relayed that I personally have a ulterior motive, that somehow I'm biased and I have some vendetta against them. So all of the scientific points that have been published or made against them should be ignored. And this is a very dangerous kind of way to go about things, because it makes the scientific points, or it tries to dejustify the scientific points that people are making in the arguments. And especially when this is put out in the public domain, this can be extremely misleading. And the NCCP have continually made misleading and false comments, points to the Senate and to the public. So I just wanted to make the Senate clear of that for a real scientific debate, there needs to be the NCCP debating with people who are in opposition for a completely transparent process, because at the moment they have the media behind them. After the last Senate hearing, there was a newspaper article that said, "Stop carping on you whingers," talking about the international scientists who just want to see a fair process and want to see that the environment of Australia isn't irreversibly damaged. And this is very unprofessional and disrespectful to those scientists around the world who have put years of work into studying this out of pure interest, then discredit them just because they have a predetermined rhetoric and